The next external module that I want to talk about, is called Events Navigation Tweaks. So when you have a project, it only works with projects that have multiple arms and multiple events. So what this does is this just gives you a couple of options for navigating between events and arms, which makes it easier for you to enter data. And if you're not familiar with a project that has events or arms, you basically can create events. Well, so you start with the arms. You can have as many arms as you want. Like if you have a drug trial, you have drug A, drug B, placebo, this kind of thing. And then within each group, you can create different events. And then within the events, you can designate different instruments for that event. And what that allows you to do is create one set of instruments that can be used multiple times for multiple events and multiple arms. So instead of you having to create one long project and you have a group of instruments that are identical for arm 1 drug A, arm 1 drug B, arm 2 drug B, and then different events, this kind of thing. This allows you to kind of create a longitudinal study with multiple arms and multiple events that you can designate your instruments for. Now, it's very robust, and it's amazing that REDCap allows you to do this, but it can be kind of cumbersome when you're trying to navigate between all of this. So when you go to the record status dashboard, you'll see here, instead of your normal record status dashboard, you have your arms. So this would be arm 2 drug B and arm 1 drug A. And then you'll see up here now that you have your events in this top row. And then within these sections, these are the instruments that have been assigned or designated to those events. And once you get a project that has multiple arms and multiple events and multiple instruments, and you've got a ton of records, sometimes it's a little hard to figure out where you're at and which participants you have where. So this module just gives you a little bit of navigation help. I already have it configured. It's down here called Event Navigation Tweaks, and it gives you 3 options. And the configuration is really simple on this. You basically just have to select which options you want. I'm just gonna uncheck this one first. But the first one, it gives you a event change button on the data entry form. And so let me just start with that one here, and I'll show you what I mean. So if we go to the record status dashboard and I click in a record, it gives you this button up here to change between your events. So you're able to, instead of having to go back to the record status dashboard and look and figure out, okay, I need visit 2, patient morale questionnaire, click here. If I'm in the record already, if I click on this, it just gives me that information here, it's for the instrument for the different event, not for the instruments within the event. So if I have to just work my way through here, and you can see here that as I changed events, it's updating which instruments I can see for those events. And let me find one that's a little different. So you see here that this is visit lab data, and so if I need to enter that, I can select it from here. So it's a way to navigate instead of having to go from here, from the dashboard, and look for, okay, I need, visit lab data for visit 3 or visit blood workup. It just takes that and creates a little table for you to see. The next thing is display buttons for navigating between arms in your current record on the record homepage. So if we save that, we go back to the homepage. if you click on a record, it gives you this little window here and lets you toggle between the two arms that you have. So for study participant, 1, I can toggle between, I can see which instruments have been filled out for drug A for arm 1, and I can click over and see which instruments have been filled out for drug B arm 2. Instead of having to do this manually in the record status dashboard or clicking on, so if I turn this back off to show you what the functionality was before. So now if I go into the record homepage, you just see that this one. You don't see the other one. But you also, it says here that you have a person that exists with that same ID in another arm. So if you have the same IDs, it'll show you where they exist in both arms. Ideally, you're not assigning somebody to one arm that you are assigning to the other arm. If they're on placebo, they're not going to be on drug. And then the last option basically forces you to create, it designates your first arm as your primary arm, and then you basically have to have a record in that arm before you add records to others. So if you go back to the record status dashboard, what it does is it doesn't let you select. So if we go to add records, it takes away the option of giving you which arm you want to create a new record in, because there's only one record here. We don't have, another ID. And so I can only create a new record in the first arm. I'm not sure exactly why you'd want to do that. Like I just said, if you have somebody in one arm, you don't really want to put them in another arm. It just depends on how you have your project. But these are the tweaks that this module lets you have.